Well, one thing I'll point out here in regards to, when we have a lot of things to do, is especially, you probably won't find this so much here, but in many places, if you read different books on mindfulness, you might get this sense that everything's supposed to be done a little bit more slowly and carefully, and which is nice. And also the reality of most of our lives is that we have a lot to do, and sometimes we need to move quickly. And something to kind of play around with in your practice is to notice that you can move quickly, but still be totally relaxed. Like for instance, if you choose to go for a jog, you're moving significantly faster than when you walk, but it's pretty relaxing, right? Unless you hate running, then it's drudgery. But there's a difference between moving quickly intentionally and being aware of your body as you're doing it and being in a rush. When you're in a rush, what's happening is you're being pulled by the future, essentially, and it's anxiety provoking, right? You're being pulled, and I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to get this, I've got 3 minutes left.
There's a lot of pressure.
Yes,
Hurry,
exactly. You feel pressure, there's anxiety building up. Now, you can do this, you can move at the same speed, but if you do it with some intentionality and you notice, you pay attention to the body, and you don't allow yourself to just be pulled into the future with this feeling of being rushed, you'll probably notice that you can actually move quickly and have it be a pretty relaxing experience. And you still get done what you need to get done. So for instance, let's just use walking. In fact, we'll play around with this while we walk. But just notice the difference. When you're in a rush and you're walking because you feel like you have to get somewhere, and that's really the sense, right, is I've got to. That's a sense of desire, right? I've got to get here, I've got to do this. And then it's anxiety provoking. But if you walk intentionally and almost like what we were just talking about in terms of looking at the mind and saying, hey, it doesn't matter if there's thinking or not there. I just want to see what's there. Let's look. Is there any thinking? You can do the same thing with, all right, I'm kind of curious. What is it like when I move quickly, when I walk quickly? What is that like? And if you're really aware of how the body feels when you move, you'll find that you're not lost in thought. You're not being controlled by your thoughts. And as a result, anxiety does not arise. You look at athletes when they're in the zone, the reason they're in the zone is they are not identified with thinking. They are so present, so fully engaged with that experience. There's no remainder. There's no me in there saying, I got to make this shot or blah, blah, blah. That's when you start missing shots, right? Or if you're a golfer, that's when you start shanking it, when you start getting into your head. Like when you're fully engaged in what you're doing, in that experience, then there's no remainder. There's no identification with any thoughts. Thoughts might arise like very quickly and pass very quickly, but there's no identification with them. And so there's no sense of me here doing this, that's got to get there, that's stressing out. It's just running down the court to make the next shot. It's just starting my backswing with the golf club. It's just throwing the football down the field. It's not I'm throwing the football, it's just happening. So there are experiences in our lives that happen all the time where there's this absence of this ego and this identification with thought. And these are some examples. And when you hear of an athlete being in the zone or a musician in the zone, that's the primary defining characteristic. You'll hear them say, it wasn't me doing it, it was just happening. It was just flowing out of me, And so just maybe pay attention to that as we do the walking. Just notice if you just walk intentionally and you're really curious about it and you're fully engaged in the experience, I suggest that I feel pretty confident that you won't find that there's anxiety there. Whereas if it's mindless, if it's just you're really caught in all the anxious thoughts in your head and you feel like you're being pulled all around, having to multitask and all these things, it's very anxiety provoking. So maybe when we do this walking, let's just as an experiment, we'll walk a little bit more quickly. We'll start off a little slowly, and then we'll have a period where we walk kind of quickly. And I'd like you to just notice, if you have the attitude of like, wow, this is kind of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when I walk quickly. There's no anxiety in that experience. It's just walking.
If you have a dog, you'll find out.
Yeah, now you're really being pulled, right? When you got a big dog. Yeah. Now that's a very good analogy. In fact, I've heard teachers use that analogy. It's like for most of us, when we're in a rush, it's like being pulled around by a big dog and we have no choice about where we're going. I've heard another teacher say it's like being a fish caught on a hook, getting reeled in by the future. Hello, my friend, and thank you for taking a minute to check out this video here at the Mindfulness Edge. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Please feel free to leave any questions that you have about the practice down in the comment section below if you think I could be of help. I do my best to answer as many of those questions as I can, and I enjoy helping wherever I can. If you found the video helpful, please feel free to subscribe to this channel to make sure that you never miss any of the videos that we post. And you could also feel free to go ahead and hit that little like button. That will help other people to see this video, and hopefully it will be of help to them as well. And if you like, I have a little gift for you. If you head on over to themindfulnessedge.com, I'd be happy to give you free sample chapters of my book called The Mindfulness Edge. So until next time, I hope you are well.